Thank you for the applause. Especially thank you for coming on such an early hour. I mean, 10 o'clock, it's amazing after the parties. Mm, okay, I was hoping that there will be a bit more than 2 or 3 people. And I'm really happy because we don't have very creative subject. But I believe I will be able to uh, try to inspire you how to use big data as a content. So basically, I'm the founder and CEO of Reality Games, and I would like to talk a bit what we do, and then show you some examples what you can do with the big data. So we believe that current games are broken. They have predictable gameplay. Players like them only for a little while. Sometimes this is a matter of days, sometimes of weeks, but at the end, player leaves the title for another one. The main reason for that is that the gameplay and the economy are artificially created and balanced by humans, widely known as game designers. We believe also that it doesn't have to be like this. There's nothing more entertaining than our major game we play every day, our life. This is why I would like to share with you a phenomenon of creating games based on big data, because big data enables designers to use a huge amount of real-world assets and create a game that players can relate to as it mirrors their life. There are no complicated backstories to understand, because the backstory is the real world. Since the game is a reflection on real-life events, the players are more engaged. Big data is at the foundation of all megatrends that are happening right now, from social to mobile, to cloud to gaming. Enterprises such as Facebook and Google, and well as the governments, gather and share data over simple open APIs. There are open public APIs where you can check around 4,000 sources of data. The great fact is that they are mostly free. There are private APIs where enterprises are gathering information for themselves. There are also open private APIs from tech companies, and they want you to use their data. By using big data and being in a unique position to exploit this, we are able to cut development time by 80%. We simply don't need to build a huge amount of content like the current games. Every new game helps us to develop our game engine further, and there's going to be a tsunami of data to gamify. Therefore, we want to be ready to catch that wave and surf it for years to come. At Reality Games, there's a big team, actually a team of 14 people, working just on the big data game engine at the moment for our games, but in the next 6 months, we plan to open a platform for external developers. Currently, there is around 30 companies which are gamifying big data. I'm happy to represent one of the first movers on this market. Our prototype on steroids, Landlord, has gained over 7 million downloads in past year. And as for the prototype, without user acquisition, no big licensed brand or getting featured in the App Store, we are quite happy with these results. This big company on the left was under a Google umbrella and spent over 5 years developing map technology for the foundation for the future success of Pokemon Go. So what is Landlord? Well, it is a Monopoly board game taken to the real life, but instead of dice and board, we are streaming over 50 million properties into the game. Game is about buying real life properties around the world Thanks to geolocation, you can see what venues are around you, and the evaluation is based on popularity in real life. It's all thanks to Foursquare and Facebook data. It would be actually very hard to create a game with exact geolocation for 50 million points of interest, especially if 25,000 of them are being added or removed every day. But the most important part is that every day there's a different number of check-ins, photos in that locations. We call them a digital footprints, and thanks to them we have a real-life economy in our game. Imagine that you own a real-life property and you get virtual rent when people check in real world. Every day is different, so game is very hard to predict. We managed to get to the top ranks in many countries, and users gave us great reviews. I believe you will be surprised about our retention data. It is one of the highest in the industry. Well, we believe it's because good concept and, of course, using big data as a content people can relate to. We are currently experimenting geolocated advertising, and one of the biggest retail network from US came to us and asked about possibility of connecting our active players in US with special promotion in real life. Well, this heat map shows around 800,000 players in US, but when you look at the locations of Walmart, you will see that there's a great correlation, and we can connect active players with real-life events around them. We have just a tiny problem. To make a real business from it, we need at least 5 times more players. So that would be about 30 million downloads to get something around 7-8 monthly active users. Yes, that's the correct number. So landlord gave us an idea what will happen if we decide to create a clone, just with a different character. So, hello, this is Donald Trumpet. This game was launched 6 months ago and has the biggest number of removed reviews by Apple and Google. There's plenty of nasty comments. I mean, people were just downloading to write us a review that they hate or they like very much, or they don't like Hillary. So the retention numbers are little smaller, but still they're huge. We managed to get into the top ranks in US strategy, and this is a success just for the clone, which was, with just different images of the character. Trumpet is a one-to-one clone of the landlord, and it has just different App Store screens. We are now thinking how to build entire team around him to make him fly higher, because still we put this game to the App Store and it is unexpectedly going very well, but nobody is actually looking after this project. So now there's idea to try to understand how to build a team and how to stay in the middle between Democrats and Republicans and make Donald Trump a likable guy. So this is quite a big thing to do. So those 2 games were launched, and we are focusing right now on new titles. Speculate is a game which will be published later this year. It's a social media game where you can buy real brands, and they are progressing like on the stock market. Let me give you an example. We have the access to over 10 million fan pages, and people will be able to buy stock of their favorite brand. Every day there's a chance for social media crisis, or suddenly some brands are going to make some marketing campaigns. So there will be a lot of opportunities to speculate. And The idea behind is very simple. Every day, every hour, those found pages have different user engagements. People like, dislike, share, or place comments. Every traction is correlated with the valuation change. So on one hand, it's so dynamic as Forex can be, by on another, it's just a simple free-to-play business model. Another example we are creating is Weather Challenge. It's a weather prediction game powered by weather data from over 100,000 weather stations around the world. You can predict future weather in your town or challenge a celebrity weather presenter. Well, since the overlaps are obvious, TV networks from the UK and US have already shown a large interest in this project, and we are signing now some Kim Kardashians of weather in several countries. We believe that is a great opportunity to build a game where we can connect TV, mobile, and both of them in free-to-play business model. So maybe let's try to find other examples. I believe you all know this game. It's GTA 5, and this game was developed by over 1,000 people during something like 4 or 5 years. Massive work, huge amount of buildings, and this is where big data could help. Let me show you how. First, there's a technology that is generating maps into one-to-one scale structure, where you can only need to add final textures. Let me see this. Have a look. So this is just after a couple of hours of generating it, so you have a possibility to be in the game, to have actually a game. You can write. So you can generate a city in hours instead of months, and even walk, race inside it. But let's find solution how to add more moving objects automatically. So we can stream big data from public transportation and gather timetables, so buses and trains will be riding on schedule. We can add occupancy data to have a good understanding how many people move from one place to another. Thanks to that, we can easily build an army of bots, and it will look very, very natural. Some roads are more active than others. Thanks to the real live big data, we can understand better how many objects should be in exact location. Urban movement, it's also important. Thanks to data, we know that some parts are more attractive than others. Places where people take photos, make check-ins, are telling us how popular they are. There's a possibility even to find where it smells, emissions, animals, food processing, or natural smells. It's still hard to make it in the game, but for the future development, I believe we will be having some devices which are going to interact with us. Thanks to data, we can create maps with social groups that have a common national or culture tradition. One step further is to show divide in races and crime areas. Traffic is a real pain, and most prosperous cities, traffic is actually, if you will create a traffic in the game, I mean, players will love it because it's something what they can relate to very much. I believe most of you know this game. It's Transport Tycoon Deluxe. So it is possible right now to actually build a game like that in your own area. The problem is that it will be much harder than in real game because it will be much, much bigger. So there's always a little problem with one-to-one scale, is that, for example, if you put the bus station, so in the game it takes like 10 seconds, but in here it will take like 17 minutes, so from going from one place to another. So this is just a little problem, but it can be also solved. So what else is possible? Let me show you some of the big data maps that might inspire you to work on your first big data in game. This is a map of New York. It shows buildings built between 1800 and present. Let's jump to Amsterdam, where all buildings represent special areas. Can you see the red light districts here? Somewhere? Yeah. How about the amazing colors of Portland? Or boring heat map of GSM telecommunication towers? Yes, they work as lighthouses to your mobile, and there's plenty of gaming possibilities just using GSM signal. How about check-ins, Mafia game, Zombie, or another Pokemon Go? Or you can easily divide people by the level of their education. When you look at Manhattan, nearly everyone has a university degree. It's not a funny topic, but currently you can zoom map and see how many people in your area have AIDS and how it was attributed. This maps helps you understand the Starbucks phenomenon. Or this one could help you find a spot where to eat today. If you are planning a safe house, consider this map of all terrorism attacks. You can find lists of houses for immigrants in Germany, or simple map of pubs in the UK. But if you are looking where's the nearest church in Poland, there's a map for that as well. If you are a fan of war games, you can see live tweets online. Or be amazed by this guy who has a lot of friends on LinkedIn. When you look up to the sky, you don't see how many planes are above you. This map shows the real map of 9 hours of the sky on Europe. Flight radar data will let you build an airplane, tycoon, or betting game. Just imagine placing a bet on the Lufthansa flight D320 from Frankfurt to San Francisco. And you place a bet. Will it be on time or not? Very easy to make a free-to-play model here. Let's go to sports. There's a data dump from tennis match. I have no idea what to do with it, but maybe some of you would like to create a tennis master simulator or basketball game. So the revolution is coming, and auto-generated content will improve gaming industry and will create a new genre of games with real-life context. People are more interested in games that they can relate to. And as I said before, there's no better game than this one we play every day, our life. Thank you.
Okay, we have some time for questions. Any question to Zbigniew? Maybe?
Yeah, thank you. That was very interesting. So I have a few questions. The first is, did you have any events of when the collision between the virtual world and the real world was too strong? For instance, in the past, actors of soap operas were assaulted by people who confused them with the individuals they were acting for.
Okay, so we have some stories about it. Basically, we found them from the reviews, which we have over 130,000, and some of them are from our customer support. Well, basically, we are receiving over 2,000 emails per day, and this is hard work for customer support to answer. And there are some stories like, I bought my boss's business, I went to him and I asked for a raise, and he fired me. Then I was going on the flat tire for over 80 miles just to buy this building before a friend of mine. Well, there's a huge, because people are engaged, so there's a lot of ideas what they will do to actually get free coins, or what they will do to be better on the leaderboards. Plenty of stories. Most of them are nice, and we are very happy because game is creating good emotions.
And what about property owners? Can they opt out from the game?
Well, yes, they can. It's very simple mechanism. I mean, you can add the property into the game, and you're actually adding the property to Facebook or Foursquare data. You have the special form for that. You can actually remove it. Also, there's a big some players were exploiting this because we have the marketplace, so they were creating Trump Tower, for example, as a fake property, and they were putting this to the marketplace. They were making money. Of course, we had to stop and we had to correlate that property with exact geolocation of that person. So a lot of ideas how to how to actually take the advantage.
And do you use only public data, or are there any, commercial data sets?
Well, I would love to show you, but I was not allowed. I had received a funny email from, that was at the beginning of the game, when we were using the free API, and from one of the companies, they sent us email, look, this is really, really too much, as for the free API. Companies at this usage, they are paying $100,000 every month. Can we have a Skype call? You know, this kind of information came to us. Well, basically, we are trying to connect all sources of data. Now, just 10 people are crawling in our office. They're just crawling the data from 4,000 crowdsources, and we need to understand what is the good quality of it, because the data is disrupted, there's a different standards, and for example, it's easy to find information for San Francisco, but you, at the same time, you don't have a data for Krakow. So you can make something interesting, but it will be localized on special markets. So currently, we are looking for something what will be around the world, or can be used in the nearest future like that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hi, I want to ask, are all the sources that you displayed on those slides, are they all public APIs? Are they free? Are they real time?
Okay, so let's go maybe directly. This is a data dump, so this is not. This is absolutely online. You can download the app. This is the visualization, but you have, of course, LinkedIn data. This one you can access on your own. This one as well. There shouldn't be a problem with most of it. This is visualization. This is interesting. You can really zoom and actually see the location, for example, of 200 people, and you can see that there's 2 of them have AIDS. I mean, this is something like that. If it will be happen in Poland, it will be amazing how to see the reactions between people. Well, the problematic thing is that it's very hard to visualize big amounts of data. So I will give you the example. Every day we gather around 3 to 4 gigabytes just from a couple of 100,000 daily active users. And if you would like to show, actually to see this data lively, it will be very hard. So there are special kind of ways to do it. We use Kibana and which are actually reading the logs, how to actually understand, because there's too much. There's too much, and it's very hard to know what is actually important, what is not. So somebody who will make this right will be a billionaire. That's for sure. How to visualize big data. So in most cases, it was the process of collecting data, then making a dump from it, and then making a visualization.
I'm just following up. I wasn't trying to focus on the visualization itself, but just on getting the data in real time to the game.
Okay.
So is it real time data? Is it free?
It's real-time data. Yeah, it's real-time data. It depends, of course, of the subject. Sometimes it goes every 5 minutes. Sometimes it connects the endpoints every second. It depends which source you use.
Is there any noticeable difference in data source availability? I mean, you've shown examples of your game located in US. How about Europe? I mean, there were some examples in Europe, but is there any difference, meaningful difference in availability of this data?
If you could,
A question again?
yes, please.
I mean, I guess it's much easier to find data for US, for instance, right? How about other regions? I mean, is there any meaningful difference?
Well, of course. It depends how the governments are actually working in each country. There are governments which have the open public platform where you can just connect. It's divided. There's a group of people who are working on that. They understand that actually giving this information will make good for the city or for the country. But there are some countries who actually still have, the problems of not having internet connection. So basically, and the easiest way is to use the APIs from big companies that they are collecting, and they are actually everywhere. So like Facebook, like Twitter, like Google, they have a lot of information. But as I mentioned to you before, there's possibility, of course, to make a game just localized based on the data. I mean, you can, if you have the data from when the garbage will be collected, you can actually make a game on that, and it will be a local game. It can be national game, no problem.
I have a question about the risk and your approach to this, because when we are going to the privately owned data like Facebook or Steam or something, did you consider, I think you consider, but what are your approach, what is your approach, that you can be cut off from this data at any moment? So let's say that it's a Facebook API and you are taking some data, it's becoming a politically incorrect, or like a Steam spy. Any day Steam can say to this guy that he cannot do this. They are owning this data. If maybe I'm wrong. So what's your approach to these risks?
Well, so we already made one step further. The first step is that you are a tiny developer who is using the public APIs, and you have the limits like 5,000 API calls for a minute or something like that. But then there's a business layer where you connect with the company and you talk about the business, you set up the contract terms, and you're actually in the business. You are paying for data. Yes, you are talking, and you are paying them as well. I mean, paying is actually this next step. And if you pay them, and well, just imagine Foursquare. Every one of you think about the app that was many years ago popular, where you could be a mayor of the location. But 90% of the revenue now comes from big data. They are selling. They have actually the best location APIs in the world. Twitter is buying this data from them. I mean, when you go on the next level, there's a contract, there are agreements, and there's very predictable business.
In terms of the next level, have you considered using some technology like Special OS by Improbable? That's an operating system for huge games based on maps.
Okay. The problem we have is that we have too many concepts, too less people. So currently, we're actually struggling with our own games, which we actually came up with ideas very long time ago. We are very happy to make other games, but this will take time.
So one more question. You've shown landlord game here as example. You've mentioned that there is real life data taken from some APIs, right? For the prices of,
Correct.
Real estate. In real life, when you when you buy some new house or whatever, you influence the real market. How about, I mean, this in the game?
Well, you have seen Pokemon phenomenon. You have seen, this large amount, the groups of people sitting close to the building. Well, this is the way how you could exploit this. I was showing you the example how we try to make a nice deal with one of the retail shops, but retail networks. But it's all about the scale. You need to come up to some specific number when it will matter. We are greatly localized. I mean, 70% of our revenue and downloads come outside of US and UK. So basically, for example, in Poland we have not so many people that could be considered for advertising.
Hello. My question is, do you fetch this data directly from public APIs for every client, or do you cache it somehow on your servers?
Well, most of it is on our servers, and it depends of actually the game. It depends how player connects with the game, because we can see that and we can predict, shall we cache some information inside his app, or shall we actually keep it and on demand from the server.
Okay.
No more questions? Okay, so thank you very much, Zbigniew, again.